Everybody's welcome. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. This is the RPS-23-24464 Upper Tampa Bay Trail Gap Evaluation Committee meeting. This will be held by means of communication and media technology. Active participation will be for committee members only. Provisions have been made for any member of the public desiring to have access to view the meeting. The online internet and live stream will also be available via recording after the meeting has ended. Please be advised that the code of silence is still in effect. All meetings and correspondence must include me. My name is Jacinta J.C. Pinkney, and I am the Senior Procurement Analyst for this project. For the record, this meeting is being recorded and has been publicly noticed. At this time, I will ask each committee member to introduce themselves for the record, beginning with the committee chair, Philip Haas.
Thanks. Philip Haas, Committee Chair, Capital Programs.
Good morning, Sarah Caper. I'm in the Community and Infrastructure Planning Department.
That's right. Amanda Sotomayor, Capital Programs, Project Management.
Okay. The Evaluation Committee Chair, Philip Haas, will lead the discussion for the scoring. After each category is discussed, please state the final consensus scoring agreed upon so that I may record it in the scoring spreadsheet. After the conclusion of the scoring, I will verify the scores with the committee and provide the final presentation ranking. Philip Haas, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. Let's dive right in. The first proposal on our list is Burns and McDonald. We'll start with their ability of firm and professional personnel category. I was impressed with the qualifications of their PM and trail design lead. Their inclusion of the shared use map specialist, especially relevant to this project. They acknowledge landscape architecture as a key component, as well as structures with the culvert impacts that we have. Acknowledge that safety would be a primary concern with the at-grade crossings that we have. And I also have experience on utility coordination with Hillsborough County Water Resources Department. Wasn't extensive experience or acknowledgement of the public involvement needs, but they did include the 3D design renderings and their capabilities there. But they did not include any right-of-way subs or services, title searches, anything involving acquisition, which we will need on this project. So my scoring for their category 1 was 20.
So I feel they did put together a qualified team. It only seems the PM is from the Tampa area. I like that they added, well, they only added details for some of the task leaders and some basic related information, but I did feel they were missing some disciplines, like you mentioned. And they did not provide the subs resumes. I noticed in the org chart, the trail design lead was also listed as the QA person, which you cannot have a QA person doing work. That would need to be something separate. And I noticed the projects they listed in their resumes of experience are not Florida, so most of the team is from out of state.
I agree with a lot of what was already said. I noted as well that the design lead and the QA were the same person, which was concerning to me. I also felt like they were missing some areas. One of the ones I noted in particular was public engagement or public involvement. I also had some concerns that their subconsultants are not listed the same way in the org chart, so you really don't know how they play in, and that their resumes were included as an appendix was concerning to me. I do think they have a lot of experience with trails and trail design, which you could see from some of how they described it, which was great, but very few examples in the resumes and discussion about Florida and some of our unique challenges. Experience with those, I think, was a little lacking.
Scoring. I had a 12.
I had 18.
Did you have what?
You had a 12
I had 12.
You had a
I
12?
18, so we're in all three different categories.
and 18.
I think I could break up to 18. You
Yeah.
feel that should be scored higher?
No. Yeah, I think in that 13 to 18 bracket is appropriate. Yeah.
So the final consensus,
18.
18?
Yeah.
Okay.
The next category 2, their firm's experience with projects of similar type and size. They listed projects that demonstrated extensive trail and sidewalk experience in bike lanes, including at-grade crossings, but the projects were not really similar in scope as to what we're working with. It was more trails separated from roadways or bike lanes on the roadway, which we're not really dealing with in our project. So my score there was for there's a 28.
I feel like some relevant projects related to not necessarily trails, more multi-use path type maybe. But a lot of them are, well, I think all of them are out of state, so they don't seem to know, well, they didn't show experience working with Florida, which can be different. A lot different than working with other states. I didn't see the PM listed on any of the projects. And I think there's only one project that had multiple key staff. There's one that didn't have any key staff shown, and 3 other projects only showed 1 key staff, is that correct? So it doesn't really show how they've worked together as a team. So I gave them a 22.
My comments really reflect a lot of what was said. I noticed that there were no examples of the PM. One example had no proposed team members listed. I found that to be very concerning. It does not really count as an example. So I gave them a 14.
Where I rolled this. 22.
28, 22, and 14.
I could go up to a higher bracket.
Bottom of that bracket.
22. I could do 22.
22.
22, final consensus?
Yes.
This is for number 2, firm's experience with projects.
Yes.
Yes.
Firm number 3, firm's willingness and ability to meet schedule and budget requirements. Overall, it showed good schedule organization and definitely an aggressive schedule, but their 5-month proposed schedule, while aggressive and sure would be nice, it's not reasonable to what can be done on this project, and it did not include time for right-of-way acquisition needs that we will have on this project. So we definitely need some modifications to meet the project goals. So my scoring here was a 10.
Yeah, I didn't see any mentions of ways to reduce costs. I also, noticed their 5-month schedule doesn't seem feasible for this type of project. So although they do say they can accelerate it, there's not really clear understanding of how they can do that. And they didn't have any mention of any QC process. So I gave them a 12.
I thought they mentioned, the space and utilities in their discussion at least, and I'd like the ability to add others in the meetings. So I gave them a 15. But I understand what you guys were saying, so if you want to go lower, I'm okay with that.
Be good anyway, that's 9 to 12 bracket.
Okay, so final consensus of a 12 for number 3.
The effect of the firm's recent, current, and projected workload, thought they showed sufficient staff for the project, both the key members and backup support personnel with sufficient availability. So I scored them a 10.
So, they did show some staff with high availability, others were really low, which seems to be for important areas of the project. They did not show the subs availability, so I gave it an 8.
Yeah, I thought they mentioned backup, and playing availability. I was a little confused why they talked about the on-call work in this. It to me is a necessary addition, and I agree the sub stuff wasn't listed, so I gave them a 7.
Okay, so a 10 and an 8 and a 7.
Overall.
An 8. So this is 8 points for number 4. And then Philip for number 5, effective project team location. This is your score only.
The majority of their project team was not local. So I scored them a 2.
Move on to the next proposal for Kinley Horn.
Yes, the next one is Kinley Horn. For number 1, the ability, firm, and professional personnel. Certainly capable with their experience in trail projects, including local trails. I appreciated their emphasis on landscape architecture in their qualifications, as well as safety. They acknowledge the public involvement challenges that have been present and we will likely run into during the design phase, as well as the need for right-of-way impacts and those to be identified early on in the project. Also acknowledge had a good understanding of the permits that will be required and the structures that will need to be addressed in the trail design. So I scored them a 28.
28, Kimberly Horn, number 1.
Yes.
So I liked how they mentioned they're a safety-focused design team. They have certified board safety professionals listed. They showed having experience with multiple trail projects. It showed great understanding of the project. I like how they added in their resumes little note on the value of each one of the key team members. They emphasized the special qualifications in relation to this project. Project manager has extensive trail experience, and overall, I think they put together a great team. I gave them 28.
I thought they did a good job in kind of showing the understanding of what we need. I'd like to the emphasis also on public engagement and involvement. Though I didn't see that listed in the org chart, it was talked about in the discussion. I also liked how they integrated the subs in the organizational chart and the resumes. I thought that showed a good team, which is necessary for this, especially when you look at what the subs are going to be involved. I thought the PM had some good examples of trail design and streetscapes. So I gave them a 21. I'm willing to go higher if you want.
Any concerns that you have?
No, it's just for me, I think they showed an above average level of experience and then being qualified, so I tend to have a high bar for superior, but I'm willing kind of for the team discussion to do that. This would sound like your scores are higher than mine.
So you're okay going into that upper bracket?
Yeah.
Do like a 27?
Are you okay with that?
That's fine.
No, we had higher.
Yeah, that's fine.
More review.
So 27 for final consensus on Kimberly Horn, number 1.
Yes. Number 2, the firm's experience with projects of similar type and size. They had several projects that fit the type and the scope of what we're going for here, as well as the previous PD&E on this route. Experience with trails, especially shared use paths, not only as like a standalone, but as we will have here along the road and confined right-of-way space, and local projects as well. So I scored them a 34.
I feel they provided lists of all projects were valid and related to trails. Notice the proposed PM was listed on 3 out of the 5 projects. They did have multiple key staff members on all the projects, which shows that they have worked together on multiple projects. I scored them a 33.
You said 43.
33. I don't know if it goes up to.
Yeah, that's why I had to confirm.
I agree. I thought they had some good examples. I thought that they provided ones with the same project manager, which I always like to see. I thought that they were pretty extensive. I gave them a 22. But I'm okay going higher. I know I have a different, sometimes lower score, so I'm okay going higher on this one.
About the 33, 32, somewhere in that middle of that.
I'm fine with a 32 or 33.
You 32.
32.
32, for consensus of 32,
Yes.
for number 2, Kinley Horn, okay.
The next, category 3, firm's willingness and ability to meet schedule and budget requirements. Thought they showed good organization and covered all of the topics that would be needed in this course of the project and in the schedule. Didn't offer a specific timeline for project approach. So my scoring here was a 17.
And I feel like they covered all the topics, showed good understanding. They did mention some suggestions that could accelerate the schedule, but yeah, I didn't know this one actually given a timeline for how long they feel the project would take. Had brief mention of QGC, but didn't go into detail. They did mention unique abilities and other approaches, special considerations to be used in the project that could potentially reduce costs. I gave them an 18.
I thought they had a good discussion about how to be responsive and minimize resources, the scoping, kind of methods for meeting scheduled budget. And I liked how they had the 2 survey mapping subs and talked about sustainable solutions and the use of technology. I gave them a 16.
Good, 17.
Okay, yeah.
So 17 for final consensus.
Yes. Number 4, their affected firm's recent, current, and projected workload. I thought that they showed sufficient staff availability and backup support. So I scored them a 10.
I feel the same. I feel efficient availability, provided the subs availability, extension backups and getting time.
They're available staff. I thought they had a good discussion here and kind of availability. I gave them an 8. But I can go higher.
Then Amanda, what was your score? 10. 10, 8.
Yeah, everybody?
I didn't hear that
That
one.
was 9.
9. All right, so 9 for number 4, Kinley Horn. Okay, and Philip, number 5, effect of project team location.
The majority of the team is local, but they did have their drainage staff out of Orlando, so scored them a 4.
And we're moving on to the last firm, Kissinger Campo Associates.
Number 1, their ability of firm and professional personnel. They PM was experienced in trail and roadway design, called out several needs on the project, such as public involvement, drainage, right-of-way acquisition, landscape architecture, utility coordination, as well as safety. There wasn't as much focus on the structures, not listed as a key personnel, but the resume was included. It's not a primary focus of this project, but it will definitely be needed with a couple potential boardwalks or culvert extensions. And it felt like their design lead or deputy PM, if the deputy PM was the design lead, I was a little confused there who was actually doing the design of the trail. But the deputy PM's qualifications were more roadway design focused rather than trail or shared use path. It's kind of general feeling I got from a lot of the team members. So my scoring here was a 25.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you mentioned. It did cover all the disciplines. It showed understanding of what they'll need to complete the project. I would have liked to see a little more discussion about the understanding of the project. But yeah, they did show having some trail experience. But yeah, it was mostly roadway. I gave it 25.
Yeah, I thought they really, they did recognize the role that this trail plays in the region. I thought that was important to note, that it's got a big impact. And they talked about experience with trails and public safety. I liked how they had public involvement really highlighted in this as well. And landscape architecture, so that they had a sense of that. I gave them a 21.
So 25, a 25, and a 21.
Okay, doing it 25.
So 25 all around, are you still looking?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be also okay going down to the top part of that second bracket if we want to do like a 24 or something.
Okay.
Either one.
24?
24. 24 for number 1.
Yes. Number 2, the firm's experience with projects of similar type and size. They provided several trail projects, especially like the Grand Swamp Trail. I thought was very similar to what we were going for in this. So had a lot of similarities to our project here. And then the other projects included also would have components that are similar to scope and in size as to our project. So I scored them 30.
I feel they did provide a list of 5 projects. I didn't see proposed PM on any of them. Deputy PM was shown on 2 of the projects. And other 3 projects didn't appear to have anyone from proposed roadway team listed. I gave them a 29.
I also noted that I did not see the PM on any of them. I also felt like I would have liked to see more on all of these, or some of them in particular, about the approach. I was thinking like some of the Grand Swamp Trail and Bridge and some of the others, it just was a little unclear to me their role. They say they're the prime, but they talk about in that one, maybe like Canals Trail Loop and some of the others, they talk about a team, and they say that they're the prime, but then they have the owner as a different firm. That was confusing to me. because Nels Treadloop is a Hillsborough County project, so I don't know how the owner is a private firm. Unless I'm missing something, I just would have liked some of that clarified, their role and how that works together, and I would have liked to see a little bit more of a description or understanding on them, so I gave them a 21.
So 30, 29, and 21.
That's a good point. I think somewhere around 25, 26
Yeah,
range.
so it's 25.
25.
25.
Number 3, the firm's willingness and ability to meet schedule and budget requirements. Thought they showed sufficient support and organization to meet the schedule. Their 12-month proposed schedule, somewhat reasonable. I liked how they had the targeted submissions called out, but right of way and public involvement were specifically called out on the schedule. So I scored them at 18.
So they did describe some issues or items of focus and provided understanding of the project scope. And provided project approach. Did show the scheduled timeline of 12 months. They mentioned ways of reducing schedule by submitting a 15% line and graded, not submitting 30%. But there was no clear mention of reducing budget costs. They gave a good description of their QC process. I did notice they mentioned changing the proposed alignment, which to me seems would add more time to the schedule. So I'm not quite sure how they can save time if they're making changes, because that would require a new alignment approval. So I did give them an 18.
They had a detailed project approach. They talked about project management plan. They had a good chart that talked about the schedule and things like that, and opportunities for innovation. They discussed QAQC and stakeholder management. So I gave them a 16.
We did with 17.
17.
Number 4, the effective firm's recent, current, and projected workload. I thought they showed sufficient capacity and support, including backup numbers and availability. So I scored them a 10.
Yeah, same. Showed plenty of availability between key staff and subs. And they did mention backups as needed, so I scored 10.
I agree they did a good job, talked about flexibility, allocating additional staff. I gave them a 9. 1, 2.
10.
10 all the way around. For number 4. And Philip, for number 5, effective project team location.
Their whole team is local, so I scored them a 5.
Okay, I just want to make sure that, I want to go over and confirm the scores. For Burns McDonald Engineering, number one, ability of firm and its professional personnel, that's 18 points, 18 out of 30. Number two, firm's experience with projects of similar type and size, 22 out of 35. Firm's willingness and ability to meet schedule and budget requirements, 12 out of 20. Number four, effect of firm's recent, current, and projected workload, 8 out of 10. And then number five, effective project team location, 2 out of 5. Y'all agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. For Kimley Horn, number one, the ability of firm and its professional personnel, 27 out of 30. Number two, firm's experience with projects of similar type and size, 32 out of 35. Firm's willingness and ability to meet schedule and budget requirements, 17 out of 20. Number four, effect of firm's recent, current, and projected load, 9 out of 10. Number five, effect of project team location, 4 out of 5. Are we in agreement with that?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll give a score the evaluation afterwards. Okay. Kissinger Campo Associates, number one, ability of firm and its professional personnel, 24 out of 30. Number two, firm's experience with projects of similar type and size, 25 out of 35. Number three, firm's willingness and ability to meet schedule and budget requirements, 17 out of 20. Number four, effect of firm's recent, current, and projected workload, 10 out of 10. Number five, effect of project team location, 5 out of 5. Do I have a full consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
Give me a moment. Okay, economic development, volume of work, and performance scores are still being computed. The final score will be announced soon. Philip Haas, can you confirm that there's going to be only one single contract?
That's correct.
Okay, all right, and I just wanted to announce for the evaluation, the scores for the evaluation, for Burns McDonald Engineering. That final score for the evaluation is 62 points. Kimley Horn, I have 89 points. And Kissinger, Campo and Associates, I have a total of 81 points so far. So again, the points for economic development are still being computed. The final score will be announced soon. And you don't have any parting comments or anything you would like to say? Okay, well, that concludes the RPS 23-24464 Upper Tampa Bay Trail Gap. Thank you very much for participating. Have a great day.